Hello, everyone. Today, we're covering a heartbreaking story that shook the community of La Plata, Maryland, and has left many people grappling with a mix of sorrow and disbelief. This is the tragic story of Ji'Aire Lee, a 3-year-old toddler who died after being pushed on a swing for over 40 hours by his mother, Romechia Simms. As shocking as this story is, it's one that highlights the devastating effects of untreated mental illness and raises difficult questions about how our society addresses mental health, especially among parents. The sight of Romechia pushing her son on a swing, seemingly unbothered by the rain and cold, might not have initially raised any red flags. But by the time someone called for help, it was already too late for little Ji'Aire. In this video, we'll walk you through the events leading up to that fateful day, examine the struggles that Romechia and her family faced, and discuss the aftermath of this tragic incident. This is a story of a mother in need of help, a family torn apart, and a little boy who paid the ultimate price. Before we dive into the events of that tragic day, it's important to understand the struggles Romechia Simms faced long before she took her son to the park that morning. Romechia, who was 25 years old at the time, had been battling schizophrenia for years. Her mother, Romechia Simms, had been trying to get her help for months, but Romechia's mental health issues were far from being properly managed. According to Romechia had been hearing voices and often refused to take her medication. She would sometimes wander away from the hotel where they were living, seemingly lost in her own world. Despite these symptoms, mental health professionals assessed Romechia as being capable of caring for her son. This decision was made repeatedly, even as Romechia's behavior raised concerns. In her mother's eyes, Romechia was struggling, and Ji'Aire was not safe. Schizophrenia is a severe mental disorder affecting how a person thinks, feels, and behaves. According to the World Health Organization, roughly 20 million people worldwide suffer from schizophrenia. While the symptoms can be managed with proper medication and support, Romechia's case highlights how dangerous untreated or improperly managed schizophrenia can become, particularly when children are involved. Adding to the tension, Ji'Aire's father, James Lee, had also expressed concerns about his son's safety. He had even filed for custody of Ji'Aire, stating that he didn't believe his son was safe with Romechia. However, during a court hearing just days before the tragedy, James agreed to a shared custody arrangement. As a result, Romechia was still Ji'Aire's primary caregiver during the week. On May 20th, 2016, Romechia left the hotel with Ji'Aire and walked to Wills Memorial Park, a quiet area not far from their home. They arrived early in the morning, and Romechia placed Ji'Aire on a swing, beginning what would become a continuous and haunting vigil. For nearly 2 days, Romechia pushed Ji'Aire on the swing. Witnesses reported seeing her there, seemingly oblivious to the fact that her son was not moving. It rained off and on, and temperatures dropped at night, but Romechia continued to push the swing. Those who saw her assumed that she was simply spending time with her child, never suspecting the tragedy unfolding before them. By the time someone called the police, 40 hours had passed. When authorities arrived, they found Ji'Aire unresponsive, his body cold and rigid. He was pronounced dead at the scene, and the cause of death was later determined to be dehydration and hypothermia. It was a heart-wrenching scene, one that left the first responders visibly shaken. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, dehydration can become life-threatening within hours, particularly in children, who are more vulnerable to rapid changes in their body's hydration levels. In Ji'Aire's case, prolonged exposure to the elements compounded the situation, leading to his tragic death. Following Ji'Aire's death, Romechia was taken into custody and charged with manslaughter, child abuse, and first-degree child neglect. But this case was far from simple. Romechia's family, particularly her mother, argued that she wasn't criminally responsible for her actions due to her mental illness. During the investigation, it became evident that Romechia didn't fully comprehend what had happened. She told investigators that she believed she was simply spending time with her son, unable to process the fact that he had died hours earlier. Mental health professionals who evaluated her described her as disconnected from reality, her schizophrenia clouding her judgment to a dangerous degree. The concept of not criminally responsible due to mental illness is a legal defense that varies by jurisdiction. In the U.S., This defense hinges on proving that the defendant was incapable of understanding their actions or distinguishing right from wrong. In Romechia's case, her lawyers argued that her schizophrenia prevented her from recognizing the severity of her son's condition. After a lengthy trial and testimonies from multiple mental health experts, Romechia was found not criminally responsible. Instead of serving time in prison, she was committed to a psychiatric facility where she would receive treatment for her condition. The community of La Plata, Maryland, was left stunned by Ji'Aire's death. Neighbors and community members held vigils for the young boy, grieving the loss of an innocent life. Many in the community expressed sympathy for Romechia, acknowledging her struggle with mental illness and the challenges she faced as a mother. However, there was also anger and frustration. Some questioned how the system could allow a woman with severe schizophrenia to care for a young child unsupervised. "We tried to get her help," Romechia Simms told reporters. "She needed support, but no one was listening. Ji'Aire should still be here. And now we're left with nothing but memories." The tragedy sparked conversations about mental health care, parental responsibilities, and the limits of the legal system in preventing such incidents. People questioned whether more could have been done to protect Ji'Aire and support Romechia, whose life had clearly spiraled out of control long before that fateful day. The case of Ji'Aire Lee left a lasting impact on the community and raised several important legal and ethical questions. After the trial, James Lee, Ji'Aire's father, filed a lawsuit against Charles County, alleging that the authorities had failed to protect his son despite multiple warnings. He argued that social services should have intervened given the numerous signs that Romechia was unfit to care for Ji'Aire. James's lawsuit called attention to the role of child protective services and their responsibilities in cases involving parents with mental illnesses. While social workers face limitations and challenges in balancing parental rights with child safety, this case has highlighted the need for more stringent protocols when assessing potential risks to children. Although the lawsuit didn't bring Ji'Aire back, it did result in increased scrutiny of the protocols followed by child welfare agencies in similar cases. The hope is that, moving forward, this tragedy will help prevent other children from slipping through the cracks. The tragic death of Ji'Aire Lee is a stark reminder of the complexities surrounding mental health, parenting, and the legal system. It's a story that urges us to consider how society treats parents with mental health challenges and whether we're doing enough to support them. Mental health issues are often overlooked or underestimated, but when a child's welfare is involved, the stakes are incredibly high. Romechia's case demonstrates the need for compassion, understanding, and robust support systems to help parents who are struggling. Her family tried to get her help, but their pleas went unanswered until it was too late. This is not just a story about a mother who lost her way. It's a story about a system that failed a young boy who didn't have to die. As we reflect on Ji'Aire's story, we must ask ourselves, what more can be done to protect vulnerable children in similar situations? And how can we better support families who are dealing with severe mental health issues? The heartbreaking story of Ji'Aire Lee and his mother, Romechia, is one that won't soon be forgotten. It's a reminder of the devastating consequences that can arise when mental health issues go untreated and when support systems fail. Ji'Aire deserved a full life, one filled with love and protection. If you or someone you know is struggling with mental health issues, particularly as a parent, please reach out for help. There are resources available, and there is no shame in asking for support. Remember, it takes a village to raise a child, and sometimes it takes a community to save a family from tragedy. Thank you for watching. If you found this video impactful, please consider sharing it to raise awareness about the importance of mental health care and child welfare. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think needs to change to prevent similar tragedies in the future?